I'm going to share with you the 2 letters that I think are the most important letters that you can write as you prepare for and you think about retirement. So let's go for a walk and talk about this. So, the first letter, I think, is writing a letter to your future self at 80 or 85, hopefully older, when you no longer have your physical capabilities, you no longer have your vitality, you can't do the things that you can easily do now. Travel, go on adventures, maybe go on a week-long bike cycling trip with some friends. The things that you think about now, and you think about the trade-off. And I want you to think about writing a letter to yourself, this 80-year-old version to yourself, and say, okay, I'm currently 55 or whatever your age is. And these are my current plans. This is what I'm thinking about retiring. This is when I'm thinking about, starting to focus on me time, on our time, you and your 80-year-old time. And some of the trade-offs you're making. I decided not to go on this cycling trip in Europe with my friends. And here's why. And I think if you write these letters, you earlier maybe said, I'm going to retire at 58. And 58 comes and, your company offers you a sweetheart deal to stay for 2 more years. They give you golden handcuffs. And as part of your decision making, I think it's super powerful to say, to write yourself as an 80-year-old and say, okay, I made the decision not to retire at 58. I'm going to work 2 more years, and here's why. And by writing this letter and really thinking about, who that person is at 80 years old that can no longer do that. Think about, how you're going to feel when you read that letter when you're 80. Are you going to be glad? And you very well might be, right? Because in 2 years you might be able to, really sock away a lot of money and move your retirement comfort to the next level, move your security to the next level. And it might be a great trade-off. There is no right or wrong. It's just what you decide for you, right? This is not me saying you should do this. I just want you to be thoughtful, and I want you to be deliberate about the decisions that you make. And I think this letter to your 80-year-old self can really be helpful. So we're going to come back to that in a minute and talk about some other things that you should include in the letter. But the second letter that I think you should write is a letter to your 21-year-old self, kind of goofball you that maybe didn't think through things as much and was idealistic. And same thing, I decided not, I'm just using a silly example, not to go cycling with my buddies through Europe when I was 55. And, why did you make that decision? And write that letter to the 21-year-old self, and then think through, what advice does my 21-year-old self have? And, you both write these, there's decisions you've already made, but I think the real power comes as you're thinking through decisions, thinking through writing this paragraph in this letter to your 21-year-old self. And, for many of us, I think our 21-year-old self is going to say, are you crazy? What a great adventure. Go do that. Now, 21-year-old us didn't know all the things that we need to balance and all of our responsibilities, right? If you get 3 weeks of vacation a year and you want to take your family somewhere nice, well, maybe you don't have enough vacation to do a trip like that. And that's perfectly fine. Again, there are no right or wrong, but I want you to make the best decisions as you can along on the journey, as well as once you're retired and you have a lot of time freedom. So this letter to your 21-year-old self, just thinking through, what would my 21-year-old self say to me? And then you write another paragraph in this letter to your 80-year-old self and say, this was an adventure. And now, you're 80 years old and you can't do this, but here's what we did instead. The family and I did a trip together. We went to the beach and we created lots of great memories with your kids and your grandkids. And I think your 80-year-old self would say, well done, 55-year-old me. I think that was a good decision. And your 21-year-old self may not fully understand that. But again, the idea is to come up with these exercises that you can do that will help you make the best decision possible. And you're not going to get them all right? I mean, if you're batting more than 500, you're winning. And if you're getting 3/4 of these decisions, if you look back when you're 80, which is really the one that matters the most, writing this letter to your 21-year-old self is really a way to kind of tap in to that youthful, energetic person that maybe didn't always think about, it's going to be a hassle to get my passport renewed, and it's going to be a hassle getting through customs, and Europe is expensive and they don't have air conditioning. There's all these reasons not to do it, but you know what? 21-year-olds don't think about that. They just do it. So the idea of the 21-year-old letter is just to help you think through things and encourage you to be more adventurous. But the more important of these two letters is the letter to your 80-year-old self, because that's a person that hopefully someday we're all going to meet, right? We're all going to get to be 80 years old. And there is no finish line in life, right? It's just about the journey, right? It's about the journey, and it's about the relationships that we make along the way. So there is no right or wrong. It's what's best for you. There's no right or wrong with decisions like this. And then the other letter that would be super helpful to write is, maybe if you're married, maybe to your spouse, and say, here's why I'm making the decision that I'm making, and just give yourself some time to think through it. And then even better is to have that conversation, particularly, if your spouse is looking forward to a trip. For instance, I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years. I have met couples where one couple, there was a trip that was really important, or there were some adventures that one of the spouses wanted to do and the other one was lukewarm, and continued to work, and then unfortunately had a stroke or a heart attack, and now all of a sudden these trips that they could have taken that would have been very easy to do in their 50s or their 60s now become unfortunately impossible to do. And oftentimes when one spouse's health goes bad, the other spouse becomes the caretaker, and you don't want that person sacrificing a lot of their time and effort, and maybe in the back of their mind resenting the fact that they never got to do that trip that was so important. And could they do it by themselves? Maybe, if they can find somebody else to take over some of their caregiving duties. But you don't want that caregiver to say, we had this chance, it would have been super easy to do it. So as you write these letters to your 21-year-old self, to your spouse, to your 80-year-old self, it's just movement has a way of just continuing you on the same path. It seems like the easy way, but it may be the easy way now, but what's really important is when you do hopefully meet that 80-year-old you, that your 80-year-old self says, well done, 55-year-old, in my case, 55-year-old Azul, well done. You lived life to the fullest. And full disclosure, I'm not 55 anymore. But thanks for watching. And on this type of topic, if you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy this video here where I talk about 8 things to stop doing as you approach your mid-50s and 60s in order to enjoy life more. So be sure to watch it. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.